Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News, coming to you live from our studio here at Dartey in Accra. My name is Martin Asiedu Dartey. Coming up for the next 30 minutes, family of 18-year-old Ma Bena, allegedly gang raped and killed at Anyankwanta in the Ashanti region, demand justice over her death. Details of that coming up in a jiffy. Also this afternoon, teething challenges associated with first week of limited voter registration rekindle calls for the Electoral Commission to consider increasing the number of registration centers. And still on that story though, the EC has withdrawn all of its personnel, from Boko municipality over security concerns. We have updates of that story for you. And later in the bulletin, traders and squatters behind Cocoa Board office near Kantaman to begin reconstruction barely 24 hours after fire razed several shops and makeshift structures there. We are live around the world on 3news.com. Stay with us. Details of these stories and more in a second. Thank you for staying with us. Let's bring you the details of the stories now. Barely a week after the Electoral Commission started the limited voter registration exercise, teething challenges associated with the process have rekindled calls for the number of registration centers to be increased. Civil society organizations and some opposition parties have expressed reservations about the EC's decision to limit the registration to only its offices in the districts. But the Electoral Commission maintains that they are focused on keeping the sanctity of the register. Let's bring you details of what has transpired in the last few days in this report.
In the face of public backlash from political parties and civil society organizations, a contempt suit and long queues at its registration centers, the Electoral Commission is still sticking to its guns to conduct the limited voters registration exercise only at its district offices. Officials have indicated that the process is to keep the sanctity of the register. For the national organizer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Joseph Yamin, the EC chairperson, Madam Jean Mensah, must call into remembrance some of her proposals in her days as a civil society advocate.
It's telling us the same story Jean Mensah stood by in 2016 when she was not the electoral commissioner. Then with the IEA, the EC had opened about 6,000 polling centers, but she still believed that about 3 weeks of registration, there were still a lot of people who have not had the opportunity to register, and that she was pleading that about 2 weeks more be added to the number of days so that they could register. It baffles some of us that years after her position on that, and today she is the electoral commissioner, will open less than 300 centers and think that 3 weeks is enough to get a lot of people registered. That is the situation we find ourselves here.
He insists that a review of the current process is the only way to ensure that there is a successful registration exercise.
Why would you subject your people into such an ordeal when you have every opportunity? If 6,000 was not enough in 2016, 6,000 cannot be enough today. So it should rather have been more. But for whatever reasons, the Mensah decides to open centers less than 300 and expect that a lot of people will come around. But you see, what we are seeing here is a sign that the people are very angry with the system. And whether Jane Mensah or the MPP likes it or not, the people will come and register and be there to vote against them come 2020.
And that's the voice of Joseph Yamin, who is a leading member of the NDC in the Ashanti region. So let's bring into perspective what else has been happening regarding this. The registration, we are told, has been ongoing. It's actually in the second week. Meanwhile, there seemed to be a different perspective to this issue. Registration of potential voters in the Boku municipality has halted following an attack on electoral officers. The EC officials abandoned the exercise over security concerns after a scuffle ensued at the center. The decision has left hundreds of young people, especially those who recently turned 18, in a state of uncertainty. There's more in this report.
For the past 3 days, we have not seen even a single person in the EC office. I was there today myself to check. Yesterday I was there. The day before yesterday I was there. I came with a lot of people to register, and we cannot find them.
But if they don't come for those who want to register, they cannot vote. So we are just pleading on them. Then whatever be the case, they should come and help us to do the registration.
We couldn't find any of the staff. We don't know what is happening. So I don't know whether are they going to extend the date for us or so that we're able to do it or what. We don't know.
In the first place, that was the reason why well-meaning Ghanaians were calling that they should do it at the electoral areas. This problem would not have come.
All right, so those are the voices of some youth in Boku who are actually at a loss as to what is happening to the registration exercise there. Let's speak to Simon Atugugri, who is a local reporter in the area monitoring this particular situation for us. Simon, good afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, we know that it's been 4 days since the EC officials left Boku due to the issues of the scuffle. What exactly is the situation right now as we speak?
Currently, the place, Boku is calm now for the past week in relation to a conflict in peace for the past week. But in relation to the issue, in fact, the people of Boku are frustrated because of what has happened 4 days ago. The residents there are not happy. Then they are, in fact, some of them that I spoke to, they told me it is not easy because they sent it in, then they are trying to get their name into the register in the municipality or into the voter register. But you come and then nobody will be in the office. And so they are very frustrated.
And how about the people who perpetrated the issues that led to the insecurity? Are they identifiable people? Do we know whether the police have been able to make any arrests regarding that situation?
Well, I am not known about that, but I think that what happened, the people, it's like some of them are not even aware of what has happened, what the EC explained to us yesterday on the telephone conversation about the attack. And so the people, the residents are not aware of what really happened. And so I was trying to get in touch with the EC officer this morning, and always they say they don't speak on air unless they are bosses.
Okay.
And so that is what is happening currently. Because residents are really not happy about it.
And since the EC officials left, you've not heard anything official from the EC members in the area. They've not told you whether they will restart, and when they will do that.
Nothing has been communicated to the people. That is why the people are they are not happy about it because there's no any communication. Some will travel all the way. Boku is large that communities are far. It has like presumably there's communities. There are so many communities that are far from the town. Yes. And so those people pass their people to the town just so that the EC has reported their activities and then they should go and come back a day's time. And they don't even know when they will return. Okay. And so some of the residents have been saying that now are they going to treat them in a special way by adding additional days to them, or how are they going to do it in case they return today or tomorrow? Okay. So the people, in fact, I don't know, their frustrations I cannot describe.
Okay. All right. Simon Atugugri, thank you so much for your time and that report. He is a local reporter updating us on the situation in the Boku area, where we are told that some EC officials who were undertaking the voter registration had to run for their lives due to some insecurity concerns that were raised because some youth or some individuals decided to take the law into their own hands and caused chaos And because the EC officials have fled the area, the teeming youth have been unable to register or get their names captured in the register. And this is actually causing some kind of uncertainty in the area. Let's speak first of all, again, to the Upper East Regional Minister who has joined us on phone. He is also the head of the regional security. Honorable Stephen Yakubu, good afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon to all your listeners.
All right, to start with, has this come to your attention, the concern about some insecurity around the Boku area, which led to the EC officials leaving post?
Yes, it has come to my attention, and we are working very hard to resolve the issues that are pertaining to the area. Okay,
so if you say you're working very hard, what does that mean or translate to the youth who are waiting to hear something from the government officials or even the EC officials?
Well, I've engaged the EC. We have engaged the EC. We have engaged the parties, NDC, MPP, and the youth also, to try and resolve the issues. And as of this morning, my police commander is in Boku, meeting with the stakeholders so that this issue will be resolved, so that the EC can do their work without any hindrance at all.
And from the security perspective, were you able to get to the bottom of what led to the scuffle, what led to the confusion, which led to the EC officials running for their lives?
Well, yes, the understanding is that there were some youth that came to the EC office, and they didn't feel very safe, and therefore they decided to close the office. As I said, we are working with all the stakeholders. Boku is a very volatile area. We all know that, this. And we are trying to bring all the stakeholders together to make sure that EC does their work without any hindrance at all. And as I've told you, that will happen today because so far we have made some progress on that.
Okay. A number of our affiliates in and around the Upper East region are listening to us live. So maybe as an opportunity, can you tell the youth there what assurance you have for them and when they are likely to get back to the registration?
Yes, I spoke with my police commander, as I said. My understanding is that this morning all the issues were resolved, and then the EC will come start work today. So that is what we are working towards. It was some kind of misunderstanding. We engaged all the stakeholders, and that is the best thing to do, to engage the stakeholders and also make sure that we up security so that the ECs can do their work without any hindrance at all. And that is exactly what we are doing. And I want to assure everyone that, especially the EC and also the citizens of Upper East, that this exercise will go on very smoothly. Most of the areas is going on very smoothly anyway. It is the challenge is only around the Boku area, and we are working very hard, and it will resolve this matter so that people who need to register will go and register safely and come back without any problems at all.
The Honorable Simon Yakubu, thank you so much for your time. Stephen Yakubu, thank you so much for your time. And he's also the Regional Minister of the Upper East Region and Chair of the Regional Security Council, are giving us an update of information they've picked up regarding what led to the confusion, and has assured that the youth there can get back to the registration center to get their names captured into the voter register. We'll update you in subsequent bulletins on how all of this plays out. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is the Midday News, and we're going on to some other stories now, where information we are gathering indicate that barely 24 hours after the devastating fire which destroyed some 350 structures at Abuja CMB near Kantamanto in Accra, traders and squatters have begun rebuilding. The scene is marked by tales of pleas of assistance and criticism directed at the fire service for their perceived delayed responses. Residents, some of whom spent the night at the scene, are now attempting to piece together what's left of their homes and businesses. Let's hear this report and bring you the latest regarding what we know about that fire.
Looking at the situation, the intention is to rebuild the place. Yes. So the plan is to rebuild the bent buildings, the bent structures, because that is where we stay. This is where we do our businesses. Looking at the area, it is very close to the Accra Central Market, which means that there's a lot of businesses going on here. The people that stays here patronizes the businesses over there, and there's a lot of manufacturing stuff. We iron clothing, we sew, we do a lot of things here. So this place is a very major place for economic activities, and this is where we stay as well.
We would like the government to allow us rebuild here because we have nowhere to go. This is where we work. All my things have burned. The money I used to sell is also burned. So we would call on the government to help us.
And you heard the voices of some of the affected victims of the fire that ravaged through the CMB, Abuja CMB specifically near the Kantamanto market. Let's speak to Emmanuel Samani, who was at the scene when the fire broke. He's returned to the area today and has joined us in studio. Emmanuel, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. What did you see when you went back to the fire scene?
Martin, it's just a matter of these squashes trying to, salvage what they can. I mean, the area there's literally just behind Cocoa Board, and over 350 structures compacted in one small location. And so when the fire broke, it just spread across the entire place. So no structure was left there. Everything razed to the ground. And this hub is like a business hub. So you have traders, you have businesses, soap owners, people who are into clothing, bags, all of that there. And also due to the combustible nature of the materials in this area, it just made the fire spread quickly. And it's just quite heart-wrenching to see some people sleeping on the ground because they literally have nowhere else to go. Some were able to salvage a few mattresses and mats here and there. And you could literally tell that they slept in the remnants of the fire up until this morning, and they're asking government to come to their aid.
And talking about government, the fire service, we know, was there to try and douse the fire as quickly as they could. Have we been able to hear anything from them? What do we know led to the cause of the fire?
Right. So now, talking about the fire service, the squatters, they are quite angry at the fire service. They say that they called on the fire service about 2 hours when the fire started, and they got there with no water and the appliance. And so they think that if they feel strongly that if the fire service had showed up on time with some water, the extent of damage wouldn't have been as much as we're seeing. But so when the fire broke, when we heard news, I was there yesterday at dawn, and the star witness, one Samuel Atanga, who's so the fire started from his apartment. It emanated from his apartment. He tells me that he was sleeping, and then he woke up to a smoky room, and he has a feeling or indication that his next door neighbor, who's quite mentally unstable, probably might have lit up a coil, which caused the fire. But of course, the fire service are still doing their own investigation to ascertain the real cause of the fire. But also interacting with some other eyewitnesses, they tell me that it was also as a result of a gas explosion. Because you can find them varied reports, as to what the cause of the fire is. And so we'll definitely keep an eye out there at Abuja CMB, and definitely keep our listeners updated as the latest.
Emmanuel Samani, thank you so much for all those quick updates from the unfortunate fire incident that happened over the weekend, where we know that no life was lost, but at least several property was damaged. And so in subsequent reports, we'll get to the bottom of what may have led to it and what the Ghana Fire Service has to say on that. Let's take a quick trip to the Ashanti region now. Family of the late Mabina, who was allegedly raped and killed at Nyankwanta in the Ashanti region, has called on the police to speed up with investigation and arrest the killers. One person is currently in the custody of the police to assist with investigation. The Bekwai Municipal Security Council has called for an emergency meeting on the issue and other murder-related issues within the area in recent times. And this, like we indicated, isn't the first such crime that has been perpetrated in the area. And as it stands, the families of the victims are asking government and specifically the Ghana Police Service to try and get to the bottom of this and let the family be able to put this particular kind of issues or situations to rest. Let's speak to Ibrahim Abubakar, who has been monitoring this issue for us. Ibrahim, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. What's the latest we know about this particular issue where the family is asking for expedited investigation?
Well, Martin, as we speak, one person is in the custody of the police assisting with investigation. Now, this person is the friend of the deceased. We were told that on Friday when they closed from work, this friend of hers invited her to join her and be picked up by some guys in a black vehicle. That was the last time they saw her. She said she was bringing her home, but unfortunately, she couldn't get home safe. In fact, she is saying she dropped her on the road to her house, but does not know what happened to the deceased. As we speak, the police is back at the crime scene. In fact, they are trying to investigate this matter thoroughly and bring a finality to it. But for the family, they are suspecting that she wasn't killed where she was found because the crime scene, that the uncompleted building to a house, is just 10 steps away. So if you are standing here, it's just very close. And there are houses around it. So for them, it's not possible that these acts may have happened here leading to a death. Because on Friday, they combed the entire area the whole day. They didn't sleep. They had to go in search of her. It was just on Saturday, whilst returning from the police station after reporting the matter to the police, that they found her lifeless body over there. So they believe that she may have been killed elsewhere and brought here. So it has kind of put fear in a lot of people around this area. In fact, this morning when I came, I was told that from yesterday to this morning, some residents around have even started moving out, even though they've never recorded such an incident here, but the fear that it has put in them, and they do not want to live here again. And MUSEC is also currently in a meeting. They are trying to re-strategize. This is not the only incident that has pushed them to go into that strategic meeting. We are told within the past 3 months, similar incident has happened within that Nyankwanta enclave. So this is something that has, like I said, put fear in residents and also everybody around here. So MUSEC is also currently locked up in a meeting trying to map out strategy so that they will make sure that going forward, similar incidents wouldn't happen here again.
All right, Ibrahim, thank you for that update on this very unfortunate matter. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to the Midday News live from our studio here at Desanwe in Accra. On to some other stories now. The pensioner bondholders have declared their intention not to participate in government's fresh domestic debt exchange program for ESLA and Dartey bondholders. The convener of the pensioner bondholders, Dr. Eduanani Entry, explains that no pensioner is available to accept the government's offer. According to him, pensioners cannot be part of the newly announced offer, emphasizing that they have been exempted. Government has extended fresh invitation to bondholders of ESLA PLC and Dartey Trust PLC, encouraging them to engage in the domestic debt exchange program by trading their existing holdings for a new package. This was contained in a press release issued on September 13 by the Ministry of Finance, which called upon holders of domestic notes and bonds to actively and voluntarily partake in the opportunity.
There are no part of people who could not participate on time. We were exempted. Paragraph 6 of the Ministry of Finance's press release on the invitation also states in part as follows, unquote, quote, for new trenches, end of quote. Our response to this statement is that natural persons 59 years old and above as of 1st January 2023 who did not tender, as the government will have to wait till settlement date to be able to determine holders who did not tender their bonds before paying them their coupons and principals that became due during the offer period. You can be sure that this offer period is going to be extended. The government knows that it's going to extend it.
And so you heard the convener of the pensioner bondholders, Dr. Eduanani entry there. Let's go on to some other stories. So in subsequent bulletins, we'll update you on how this particular issue is playing out between government and the pensioner bondholders. Let's go straight to the northern part of the country. You recall that over the weekend there were some floods that caused quite some devastation, and commuters traveling from Wa in the Upper West region to the southern part of the country have to spend hours using the Sola Damongo Fufulso Junction Highway following Saturday's dusk to dawn downpour that washed off portions of the Sola Boli Tichiman Highway. The commuters have also been compelled to pay high transportation fares due to the use of the alternative routes. Let's speak to Christopher Amwako, who is a Savannah regional correspondent, on the latest having to do with the impact of the floods and how it is even having an economic toll on the people. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for your time. First of all, tell us, have we had any government officials coming in to see how they can immediately get that particular stretch of road back on track?
Marina, as we speak, that has not been done, even though the Highways Authority had indicated that they were putting plans in place to get to sites to ensure that they take initial assessment of the devastation costs so that they can work on it.
Yeah, Chris, Martin here, but we'd also know that, like you indicated, the citizens there are already feeling the pinch because drivers are trying to use alternative routes. How long are these routes, or how is this directly affecting them?
Yes, so if you know the Solar Bole to Kintampo Highway, you will know that it is very shorter to use that route than to cross over from Solar Damango. Then you hit the Damango junction, then you begin your journey again to Bupe before Kintampo and Ichimai. So it is a very stressful journey or route for the people within the Wa Solar Enclave now.
And maybe finally, the people who may not necessarily need to commute, who are staying in and around the area, how are they living days after these floods? What's life like in these towns?
Yes, so it is definitely affecting business activities because people, businessmen and women who are supposed to cross over to the other parts to also bring goods to come and sell are unable to do so. And for the residents who live within these communities, their homes were not also spared by the floods. So they are also counting their losses and hoping that NADMO will take their assessment, and should there be any support, they will also benefit from it.
All right, Christopher Mwako, thank you so much for your time and the update on the flood devastation in the northern part of the country over the weekend. So you're still listening to 3FM. Our big stories we brought to you this afternoon. Family of 18-year-old Mabana allegedly gang raped and killed at Anyang Kwanta in the Ashanti region are demanding justice over her death. And also we brought you what it looks like a chaotic first week for the limited voter registration exercise, where civil society and some players in the specific sector of politics are asking the Electoral Commission to increase the number of registration centers. The EC, however, has withdrawn its personnel in Boko, and the update we got from the regional minister is that security is being restored and that calm has returned to Boko. So hopefully by close of today, they would start the exercise again, or they will restart the registration exercise in Boko. And you just had the latest update from our correspondent as well, who was telling us about the impact the floods over the weekend had on them in the northern sector of the country and how it is also economically affecting them. My name is Martin Asiedu Dartey. That's it for the Midday News. Business with Nanekia Mensah Abrampa is up next. Do stay with us.
FM 92.7.
Financial literacy.
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily. My name is Nanekia Mensah Abrampa, and coming up this afternoon, government misses its treasury bill targets by 11% as interest rate hits 32%. And Governor of the Central Bank charges banks to protect and promote transparency in financial transactions and decision making. We have all the details in the next 10 minutes. Please stay. Beginning with this afternoon, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Asiedu, has charged banks to be transparent in financial transactions. Now, this, he noted, is crucial for confidence in the banking industry. Transparency for consumers includes proper disclosure of bank fees and the interest rates charged by credit companies. Transparency helps reduce uncertainty and wild stock price fluctuations because all market participants can base decisions of value on the same data.
Banks must protect and promote transparency in financial transactions and decision making. Individuals must be held accountable for their actions and decisions, and unethical conduct must be promptly addressed and rectified. Banks must incorporate sustainability and responsible banking principles into their operations. ESG considerations must be factored into investment and lending decisions to promote long-term economic and social stability. Here, I will take this opportunity to encourage banks to ensure compliance with the Ghana Sustainable Banking Principles. Banks should strictly adhere to the regulatory requirements and collaborate with regulators to maintain a strong and well-regulated financial industry supported by higher ethical standards. Banks must reward ethical behavior through performance evaluations and incentives. They should recognize and promote employees who consistently demonstrate ethical conduct and contribute to the organization's ethical culture.
That was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Asiedu there. Now, the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, CIB, says strategy and sustainability is key for the survival of the country's banking sector. Chief Executive Officer of CIB, Robert Jato, assures of the continued support of the Institute in developing the banking sector. He's of a view banks need to be relevant to stay in business.
Financial literacy. We think as a country, we need to put financial literacy at the heart of what we do. But even more importantly, we need to continue to drive and support across secondary schools and embed financial literacy in our educational systems and even in curriculum. And we'll continue to support the industry in terms of human capital development, leadership, and certainly strategy and sustainability. Those are very, very important for all of us and for the future of our industry.
Chief Executive Officer of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Ghana, Robert Jato, there. Let's move to our major headline story for today, as government's treasury bills were undersubscribed by about 11%, falling short of its target of 3.76 billion cedis. Interest rates, however, have soared slightly above 32%, now hovering around 32.17%. Market watchers attribute the undersubscription to the overly large target relative to recent weeks. The following report has more.
At the end of the auction, government realized about 3.35 billion cedis, although it's targeted about 3.76 billion cedis. All bids tendered for the short-term securities were accepted. For the one-year bill, however, government accepted 248.36 million, although bids tendered amounted to 252.42 million cedis. Government secured bids worth about 2.6 billion from the 91-day bill and 496.95 million cedis from the 182-day bill. Interest rates for the 364-day bill hit 32.17% from 31.97% previously. For the 182-day bill also, interest rates is currently at 29.39%, whereas that of the 91-day bill rose to 28.12% from 27.78% the previous week. By missing the treasury target, government failed to meet its refinancing obligations for the week, which was about 3.51 billion cedis. Market watchers attribute the undersubscription to government's ambitious targets relative to demands on the market. In the upcoming auction, government seeks to raise about 2.59 billion cedis from the 91, 182 and 364-day bills.
And that was a news desk report. Just before we go, the CEO of Eureka Energy Solutions, Dr. Asiedu Suleiman, has suggested government use the windfall from the upstream petroleum sector to cushion consumers at the local pumps. His suggestion comes in the wake of continuous increase in the price of Brent crude oil on the commodities market. Brent crude is now selling at about $94 per barrel.
Oil prices going up in the international scene, not totally a bad thing per se, but it's something that will contend to our advantage. Of course, we operate both upstream and downstream. And once oil prices are going up, bear in mind, upstream side, we're going to have a lot of profit raining in. If you notice our media budget, we had to reduce what the potential going to earn from crude oil to around 70s. Now oil price around 90s. All projections are that it could persist, and if it's going to drop, it's going to drop in the later 80s from now until the end of the year. So we need to put in proactive measures. That will mean that we'll have some bit of windfalls. So what we call on is the government to come up with a cogent strategy to create a credible conduit that some of these windfalls we can cascade it back to the downstream. And doing that is not just only to help the consumer, but is to help tame down inflationary pressures due to the fact that when pump prices are going up, there will be so much inflationary pressures.
And that was the CEO of Eureka Energy Solutions there, Dr. Asiedu Suleiman, ending it for the Business Daily News on 3FM 92.7. Remember, when you log on to 3news.com, we have more business news updates. Join us later at 5:40 on Hot Edition for the latest in the world of business. Till then, enjoy your lunch and have a good afternoon. My name is Dana Ikuya Mentan Rampa.